Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really fascinating investigation of a documentary called Gupta Maruni, The Mystery of the Hidden Death. We're going to unpack the ancient Bhavishya Malika prophecies to try and understand a highly specific, honestly chilling phenomenon they describe, the mystery of the hidden death. So, if you've ever found yourself wondering how ancient wisdom might intersect with all the uncertainties of our future, well, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention today.
We're starting off by exploring a truly astonishing possibility presented in the film. What if ancient seers from Odisha, writing millennia ago, accurately predicted a time of unprecedented global calamity? And we aren't just talking about vague, open-to-interpretation predictions here. We're talking about startlingly specific descriptions of events and illnesses that align perfectly with the anxieties we're facing right now in the modern world. It really forces us to ask the question, did they know what was coming?
The documentary puts a major spotlight on the Yashobanta Malika. This is one of the original texts composed by the Panchasakhas, 5 great seers of Odisha. And they weren't just writing poetry. They were literally leaving behind a detailed medical and spiritual diagnosis for a future era they saw approaching from centuries away.
And I'll tell you, they absolutely did not sugarcoat what they saw. This quote introduces the absolute core of the prophecy. They envisioned this new kind of devastating disease sweeping across the globe. The text explicitly highlights that people would suffer from uncontrollable blood vomiting. It's a symptom that acts as a huge primary marker for the terrifying pandemics they foresaw.
Section 1. The 64 Diseases, a Medical Mystery.
To really wrap our heads around this medical mystery, we need to examine the text's specific threats. Take a look at this original Odia sloka. It predicts that 64 yoginis will bring 64 specific, totally unknown diseases at the end of our current age, known as the Kali Yuga. The documentary emphasizes that these aren't your normal viruses. Rather, these are illnesses brought forth by mother forces, like Yogamaya, literally entering people's bodies.
And the seers were startlingly specific about the symptoms that would manifest. We're talking predictions of sudden heart failures where people just drop while walking or sleeping. They foresaw massive brain strokes, that fatal blood vomiting we mentioned earlier, and a massive spike in cancer, explicitly predicting it would affect 5 to 7% of the population. They even detailed complete liver and kidney failure. It's a highly detailed medical profile, written centuries before modern diagnostics even existed.
Crucially, though, the documentary points out that these ancient texts explicitly warn of a complete and total failure of modern medical systems to identify or treat these ailments. The prophecy flat out states that the wisdom of physicians will simply stop working.
You can see this stark contrast mapped out here. On one side, we have modern medical science, right? And on the other, the unseen forces of the 64 yoginis. The prophecies declare that when these specific illnesses arrive, doctors are going to be completely baffled. The medicines, the advanced technology, all those scientific elements we rely on, they will be rendered entirely ineffective against these subtle mother forces.
In fact, the Bhavishya Malika goes a step further with this idea. It predicts that the doctors themselves are healers, will actually be the first ones to suffer from these mysterious ailments. A massive number of medical professionals will tragically perish before the disease even fully spreads to the masses, essentially wiping out humanity's primary line of defense. Section 2. Yuga-Sandhya, the overlap of ages.
Now, I know all of this sounds incredibly bleak, right? But the documentary insists a diagnosis only exists so a cure can be applied. And that brings us to Yuga-Sandhya, which is this really critical threshold. The texts declare that the dark age of Kali Yuga has essentially already ended, and we're currently living in a turbulent overlap period. We are sitting right in the middle, between the age that is dying and a new golden age that's being born. So this period is meant for profound transformation, not just pure destruction.
Guiding humanity through this massive transition is Pandit Dr. Shri Kashinath Mishra, the head of the Biswa Sanatan Dharma Seva Trust. He's an eminent scholar and a highly revered spiritual preacher with some incredible expertise in interpreting the Bhavishya Malika. His entire mission is to illuminate these ancient texts for our modern world. And he continually emphasizes this one absolutely crucial point. The prophecies are not meant to cause widespread panic. As he puts it, a diagnosis is not a death sentence. Instead, these texts were written to prepare people for a divine plan. It's about giving human civilization the exact formula it needs to protect itself when the time comes.
Section 3. 16 Protective Mandals, a Divine Safe Haven.
So how does this build into a prophesied solution for survival? Well, according to the scriptures, Lord Kalki, who is the divine avatar of this age, is forming exactly 16 protective mandals, or divine circles, for the devotees. That number, 16, is exact, and it's totally crucial to the divine plan laid out in the texts.
These mandals represent specific geographic regions, places like the Ujjaini Mandal, the Ayodhya Mandal, and the Kopa Mathura Vrindavan Mandal. The prophecy states that these circles will serve as literal safe havens. It's within these organizations of devotees that God will provide food, protection, and grace. The texts even foretell a terrifying period of 7 days and 7 nights of total darkness, and it's exactly within these 16 mandals that humanity will survive it.
Section 4. Building the Spiritual Shield, Your Divine Armor.
So, the natural question is, how does one actually become part of this protection? Pandit Dr. Shri Kashinath Mishra breaks this down into a highly specific 3-step action plan derived directly from the Malika. First, practice Trisandhya, which is worship at the 3 daily twilights, dawn, midday, and evening. Second, constantly chant the name Madhava. And third, study 1 chapter of the Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran daily. This isn't just a set of rituals. This is the prescribed divine armor against those 64 diseases.
Chanting the name Madhava is heavily highlighted as the ultimate prescription here. In an era where medicines fail and panic sets in, calling upon this name at the junction of time acts as a direct lifeline. It transforms these esoteric, ancient concepts into a highly practical, actionable shield for anyone living today.
Section 5. Dawn of Satya Yuga, the Golden Age.
All of this preparation, this clearing of the path, ultimately leads to the transition to the Satya Yuga, which the texts actually point toward the year 2032. This is the Golden Age, a whole new era defined by truth, peace, dharma, and immense spiritual clarity. The entire point of surviving the hidden death is to be able to walk into this amazing new world.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. Knowing that this ancient diagnosis exists, and knowing that the blueprint for the spiritual shield has been handed down to us, how will you prepare for the new world? The transition is happening right now. The next step is entirely up to you.